Hello my friends, welcome back. Today we travel to old Europe. A land of many small kingdoms. A land divided by pride. There was a man born into this chaos. He was not a king. He was not a general. But he would build a nation with his bare hands. Who was strong enough to unite dozens of stubborn states? Who was clever enough to outsmart every rival around him? His name was Otto von Bismarck. If stories like this move you, please like this video and subscribe. It helps us bring you more history, my friends. Bismarck was born in 1815. He came from a Prussian noble family. His father was a landowner. His mother came from a family of scholars. Young Otto grew up between two worlds. One world was land, horses, and tradition. The other world was books, politics, and ambition. He was clever. He was restless. He was hungry for something bigger. As a young man, Bismarck studied law. But he found it boring. He preferred debate. He preferred risk. He preferred power. Europe in his time was fractured. Germany did not exist as one country. Instead, there were dozens of separate German states. Each had its own ruler. Each guarded its own pride. Bismarck watched this division closely. He believed it made Germany weak. He believed unity was the only path to strength. But unity would not come through gentle words. It would come through iron. It would come through blood. It would come through cunning. Bismarck entered politics in his 20s. He rose quickly. His mind was sharp. His will was harder still. He did not know it yet, but he was about to reshape an entire continent. Bismarck's rise did not stop at the state level. In 1862, King Wilhelm I made him minister-president of Prussia. This was his moment. This was his stage. Bismarck faced a hostile parliament. Many lawmakers refused to fund his military plans. They wanted peace. They wanted compromise. Bismarck wanted power. He stood before them and said something the world would never forget. He declared that great questions of the age would not be solved by speeches or votes. They would be solved by iron and blood. Some call this his most famous line. Others say it was misquoted over time. Either way, the message was clear. Bismarck believed in force, not just words. He ignored the parliament. He raised the army anyway. He was willing to break the rules to build his vision. Then came the wars. First, Prussia fought Denmark in 1864. A quick, calculated victory. Bismarck was testing his strength. Next came Austria in 1866. Once allies, now rivals. Bismarck maneuvered them into war, then crushed them in just 7 weeks. The German states watched in shock. Prussia was no longer just strong. It was dominant. Picture this moment. Bismarck standing over a map of Europe, redrawing borders with a single stroke of diplomacy and steel. Other leaders scrambled to understand him. He was always 3 steps ahead. But one obstacle remained. France. France was proud. France was powerful. France would not accept a united Germany without a fight. Bismarck knew this moment was coming. He had been preparing for it his entire career. He did not know exactly how it would unfold. But he knew one thing for certain. The final battle for German unity was about to begin. In 1870, tension with France reached its breaking point. Bismarck saw his chance. He took it. He edited a diplomatic telegram. Just a few words changed. But those words were enough to insult French pride deeply. France reacted with fury. France declared war. This is exactly what Bismarck wanted. Now the German states saw France as the aggressor. They rallied together. North and South united behind Prussia. The war moved fast. Prussian forces were disciplined. Prussian forces were prepared. French forces were not ready for this kind of unity. Within weeks, the war turned decisive. The French army suffered a crushing defeat at Sedan. Emperor Napoleon III was captured. France was humiliated. Germany was electrified. Then came the moment Bismarck had worked his entire life to create. In January 1871, German princes gathered in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. This was French royal ground. This was the heart of French glory. And there, surrounded by France's own history, they declared the birth of a new empire. The German Empire. King Wilhelm I became Kaiser. Emperor of a united Germany. Bismarck had done it. Blood and iron had built a nation. But power like this comes with a price. Rivals watched with fear. Enemies watched with resentment. Bismarck had unified a country. But he had also planted seeds of future conflict across Europe. He stood at the peak of his power. But peaks do not last forever. Bismarck now ruled as Chancellor of a unified Germany. He held this position for nearly 20 years. He built alliances. He built stability. He tried to keep peace across Europe, even as he had built his nation through war. Some call this his greatest skill. He knew when to fight. He knew when to stop. But in 1888, a new Kaiser rose to power. Wilhelm II. Young. Ambitious. Impatient with the old Chancellor's caution. In 1890, Bismarck was forced to resign. The architect of Germany was pushed aside by the nation he built. He died in 1898, watching from a distance as his creation moved beyond his control. So what do we remember about Otto von Bismarck? He was not a soldier who won battles alone. He was not a king born into power. He was a strategist. He was patient. He was ruthless when he needed to be. He took a broken, divided land and forged it into one of the strongest nations in Europe. His legacy is complicated. He built unity, but he also built rivalries that would echo for generations. History remembers him as brilliant. History also remembers him as dangerous. But my friends, there is something here for us too. Bismarck did not wait for the perfect moment. He created it. He studied his world carefully. He moved with patience, then struck with force when the time was right. Maybe your goals feel divided too, like scattered pieces waiting to be joined. Maybe you are waiting for the right moment to act. History teaches us this. Vision without action changes nothing. Patience without courage changes nothing. If you enjoyed this story, give it a like. Subscribe for more journeys through history. Comment below and tell us who you want us to cover next. Until next time, my friends.